Brother Nova.
Yes.
You've been to Africa.
I've been to many countries on what is the continent known as Africa. Am I on Facebook Live right now?
No. Oh, there's a video. Right? I have people on my Facebook page in need of clarity, education, information, because they don't seem to understand that the enemy still plays tricks on us, right?
Big tricks.
They seem to think that the transatlantic slave trade never happened.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about
that. That black people were not taken from the continent of Africa in ships and brought to the Caribbean and South America and North America and enslaved, and they seem to think that
Can I know how to tackle this?
Okay.
The first thing I'm going to say, anytime I publicly speak, I always want to leave, when I say my people, y'all know who y'all are, people that look like me. Right? I want to leave you with knowledge, faith, and hope. Right? I want to leave you with that. Well, actually, it's knowledge, hope, and love, actually. Those are the three things, right? Because that's a lot of those things have been missing from our experience. And I understand why Brother Larry brings this up, because I've heard this perspective over the last, I would say, 2 years and 3 years in particular, right?
Yeah.
That we were already here. Now, being a man of letters, knowing anthropology, science, right? We understand that, and I understand that first human beings are what we might be misnomed as Africans, blacks, Negroes, whatever terminology you want to use, right? We the first people here. The original man, as Elijah Muhammad would say, right? So it stands to prove that we were the first people in what they call the Americas, right? But because we were the first people that is what we now know today as the Americas, does not mean that there was not a European slave trade or the triangle trade, where you had Africans that were stolen from usually the west coast of Africa, but there are slave ports along all coasts of Africa, right? And brought to the Western Hemisphere, the Caribbean, South and Central, and North America, right? And then goods were sent to North America and to Europe, and once again those same ships would come back down to Africa and call the triangle trade. Because honest thing you have to ask yourself as a question, right? I've been to many slave ports on the east coast of Africa and on the west coast of Africa. I've been to Cape Coast in Ghana. I've been to Elmina, which is 10 miles down the road in Ghana. Right? You would have to ask yourself, why would the Portuguese, the British, and other European powers spend what would be equivalent to millions of dollars at that time to build forts and dungeons on those coasts? They were trading posts. I've stood on, right, the auction block in a castle called Anamabo Castle in Ghana. On the auction block, it's still there to this day, right? Where people would bring goods to trade, would bring people to trade there, right? And all the history has been documented copiously by different traders and seamen of the time. Christopher Columbus was a slave trader before he was a so-called explorer. That's how he learned the trade of sailing, the so-called 7 seas. They brought Africans to Europe before they brought Africans here to the Americas. So logically speaking, if you're a scientific mind and you're thinking, you would ask yourself, why would they spend all this money to build forts and castles, not just on the coasts? They built them on the hinterland as well. You know, not thousands of miles, but maybe 60, 70, 100 miles inland. You have Dutch trading forts, British trading forts, all dotted up and along the coast of Africa. So, you know, some people want to debate. One thing I say is you don't debate facts. Things that are factual, you do not debate, right? Things that we want to get more clarity and understanding about, we can debate. But things that we already know exist and we have copious record keeping, right? You think J.P. Morgan to this day don't keep notes? They keep notes on every single transaction. From the transaction that you take out, the $20 out the ATM, they keep that. That's on record somewhere. from 5 years ago.
Business
They have it on business records. So if we study the business records of the Europeans on the coast that are still left in Africa, in the Caribbean, in North America, South America, and Central America, and the notes that are still in Europe. I mean, we have a stadium in Brooklyn, New York City, called Barclays Center. The Barclays Center, right, is named for a company that financed it. Right?
Oh, the British Barclays.
The British Barclays Bank. Barclays was a big financier of slave ships, right? And actually, the stadium we have where the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Islanders play, right, is shaped like a slave ship. It's the color of a slave ship.
Yes,
they're paying homage to their roots,
yes,
right? You have many insurance companies and banks that used to have, I think Mass Mutual is one. They used to have ships as their symbol.
Nova and downtown.
And downtown, Fleet. Remember Fleet Bank?
Where in Manhattan,
right,
where they used to, down the street from Citibank.
Citibank.
Where they used to, that cafe where they used to plan their little slave voyages.
Oh, the tavern.
They got,
Tavern.
yeah, they got a slave ship on top of that.
So why would Fleet Bank, which now we know as, I think it's Bank of America, right? Why would Fleet Bank, if you Google Fleet Bank and you look up their symbol, right, their logo, it's a fleet of ships. Where would these ships shipping? Right? We got to understand that whether we like it or not, right? We have been conquered as a people, and we are prisoners of war, of a war that we have lost. And unfortunately, we still lose it. And because you make up pseudo facts that have half-truths, right? We learned how to do the half-truth game from the master of half-truths and lies, right? We live in his society and so-called civilization. Maybe that's why we do it. I had to tell a brother today. A brother asked me something about, didn't we make, about martial arts. African people in martial arts. Martial arts is ours. And I said, yes, African people are the prognosticators and creators of martial arts, but I cannot disrespect my Asian and Asiatic brothers and sisters, because without them, the world would not have martial arts, because they codified it and kept the record of it. So they have to get credit for the records that they kept, and they made it part of everyday life. So I said, we cannot become like our former masters.
Yeah.
We can stand on truth.
They just run around appropriating.
Right? We don't have to look. The mound builders, we are the mound builders in North America. Yes. The Moors, that is us. Yes. But that does not discount the hundreds of millions of people that were taken from the continent of Africa and sold into slavery here in the Americas.
Now, a point that I think causes this confusion is that they don't know how to properly understand or overstand historical reality, so they conflate a lot of history.
Yes, I agree.
They have things all jumbled up like it all just happened at one time.
No, we're talking about over thousands of years, right? You need to read books like this, right? Y'all gotta read stuff like this, Destruction of Black Civilization, by our esteemed scholar, Dr. Chancellor Williams. It's a professor of history at Howard University, right? Or things like this. Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust, Slavery and the Rise of European Capitalism, by one of our esteemed, in my opinion, one of our best scholars, if not the best scholar of the 20th century, Dr. John Henry Clark, right? We have references.
And Nova, where can they get these books?
I mean, if you're not gonna come out here to 125th Street, of course, from the Apollo on the weekends to get them from me and my dad, Dr. Felder, you know, you get them wherever you get them. Amazon, I don't care. Buy the books, read.
Now,
buy
family.
It. Yes, sir.
When you hear someone who's selling books, tell you that he don't care if you don't get the books from him, get the books. You know that he's sincere.
Oh yeah, no.
That's why you supposed to come out here and buy the books from Dr. Felder and his son Nova.
Yeah, come and support. I mean, look, we gotta read like our life depends on it, because they do. The devil is in the details. They hide it in a book. They got the saying, they want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book. You gotta know the details. Watching this video is cool, right? But what the book is going to give you, the knowledge that it can give you, cannot leave you. They can take all the other stuff away from you. That knowledge, and it gives you an edge when you're dealing in life. That means as in your personal life with your family, you know the right things to do, right? It gives you solace and peace with our situation today, because you know this is a whole big cycle, right? What goes around comes around, right? Everything is 360. So what is happening before will happen again, and it's happening again, you know? So like I told you, love, life, right? Hope, knowledge. These are the things that we should be obsessed with. You know, I like to dress nice. You know, I like to go out and have fun, but we got to become serious as a people. We have to stand up for what is right for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? If he look up, we got police cameras watching us. Police cameras watching us because of the work he's doing. Let me tell you, you free one African mind. Can you imagine that one African mind can free thousands? One African mother is going to create villages of children that have knowledge of self, right? That's what they're afraid of. They want you separated from who you truly are, yourself.
Now, Nova.
Yes, sir.
When you're in Ghana,
yes,
or Nigeria, or another state on the continent of Africa, right? Do you have to run for your life?
Nah, I'm still here.
Do you feel like? Hold on a second for the siren.
Well, hold on, we'll let him hear say.
All right, so now, what I mean is, like when we go downtown, and suddenly it get crowded.
Yes.
And suddenly, we're surrounded by Europeans.
Right.
Hey, oh shit, where all these white people came from? Do you get overwhelmed like that?
No, because you know how to understand. It's like right now we in our hood, right? Our neighborhood, our community, for what it's worth, right? Or Harlem, right? That's where we at right now. Now, I'm a native New Yorker. I walk in any neighborhood, in particular with my people, and I feel safe. I don't feel under siege in that sense, right? I walk through the projects in the middle of the night. I don't feel under siege. But, you know, going downtown or to some big white institution that might have a building up here or wherever, you definitely feel, I mean, it's human nature. You know when you're not wanted. You know when you're not, you know, looked upon as savory, you know, and you can be there for doing business. But you could be treated in a certain way. I mean, we know that as, you know, what we call commonly as racism and prejudice. I mean, but in Africa, I've never experienced anything like that, just walking in the streets. You know, I just gotta watch my back wherever I am, but I never feel not at home.
Let me tie that into some realism for people who might hear that and say, well, damn, why did Brother Larry ask him that, right?
Yeah. There's a reason why Larry don't just ask questions for the ask questions.
Because when we look at, I don't know, National Geographics, right? And we see the elephants and the zebras around the watering hole. Right. They be chilling. But when the lions show up,
they run.
Yo, Nova.
The whole
plastic is falling. It's going, I think. I don't know. Is that yours? Yeah, it's flying. It's flying. It's in the street.
Wait. No.
Oh, that's not you? So what I'm saying.
Oh, nah, that's some garbage. That's garbage. I'm glad you said that. That's garbage. That was in the street before.
The whole atmosphere changes.
Oh, I got you. I see where you're going with this.
When the lions show up.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
You understand?
Yeah. They gotta run. They gotta move.
But now, this is why I'm going there. This is why I brought this up. Because black people in America have been desensitized to the presence of the lion. Like the pigeons. When we walking down the street, when I was little, the pigeons used to fly immediately. Cool. Like, now, because pigeons realize that we don't eat them, so they feel more comfortable. They feel comfortable around us.
They've learned that behavior.
They've been lulled into a sense that it's safe.
Because one day when we get hungry, we would eat them.
Listen, what I'm saying is that we know, at least people who get up at 8 o'clock in the morning know that it's dangerous for black people in America. At any given time, our enemies are armed to the teeth and could just get on some Dylan Roof shit, go in a black church.
I mean, the evidence is
or stabbing you in the chest.
Donald
Trump
becoming president.
brother.
The evidence is Dylan Roof being treated as a human being and taken to get Burger King after he murdered 9 black people.
No doubt.
The proof is all around us. I mean, if you need somebody to give you a soliloquy or give you a rundown of that we are under siege in enemy territory and treated as second-class citizens and non-humans, I don't know.
Look at LeBron.
Oh God! And what LeBron said was so poetic.
If a brother like LeBron James,
humble,
reaching the pinnacle of his profession, economic or financial success, right? And can still feel
he wanted to cry.
Can still feel that he's not respected, that he's not quote unquote equal in the eyes. I mean, it can still fuck with him psychologically, right? What does that say about the average little brother or sister walking around who don't even have the resources?
Now, look. Yesterday, I believe Whitlock. He's a FS1 commentator, Fox Sports commentator, right? He's a brother. He voted for Trump. It's no attack on him. I actually agree what he said, that LeBron doesn't know real racism, right? And I agree in essence, because LeBron is not dealing with the day-to-day things that me and you as a regular person have to deal with. But does that mean that he doesn't deal with racism? To me, that doesn't mean that. You still do. I mean,
there's no soft racism and hard racism.
Right. Like, it's just like, you know, it's just like the Africans that were enslaved in the Caribbean, South and Central America, and Black Americans in North America arguing that slavery here was more harsh. Slavery. So I can understand he doesn't deal with the day-to-day harshness, you know, that me or you being accosted by the police and certain things that we got to deal with. But at the end of the day, he's still dealing with racism.
Bingo.
Right? There's no such thing as fake racism and real racism.
No doubt.
All racism is
no
real.
doubt.
So, I mean,
and if it touched you one time or 100 times, that one time
I'll be honest,
sting.
In my life, no white person has ever called me a nigger to my face. I mean, or what you got to think about it. I'm born in the 70s. I'm raised in a homogeneous community with the majority of people of black and brown look like me, right? My parents have enough sense not to put me in a situation where when I was a child where I would be called those things by white folks. I would never in a situation as such. So does that mean racism doesn't affect me? No, racism still affects me, because when my brother or my son now, you know, Tamir Rice, I mean, there's so many names, Eric Garner, I mean, is shot down, cut down by state-sanctioned police, and nothing happens to those police. I know that's racism. Or when I go on a job interview, or when I walk in an elevator and people flinch because I'm 6'3" and I'm black, right? But most of you know me, I'm a happy guy, I'm humble. I show everybody respect. You show me respect, you show me disrespect, I'm gonna show you disrespect, right? So, I mean, you know, we can't get into this argument about what's real racism and what's not racism. But I understood what Whitlock was coming from. But like you said, if LeBron, this dude is one of the most beloved figures in America, maybe American history as an athlete. And he is getting N-I-G-G-E-R written in bright red on his white garage. I mean, and he said it himself. Racism in America ain't going nowhere.
Now look. Here's my take on it, right? Now I got a brother who posts, and the brother's like, why you taking your ass out there to white neighborhood? Build some shit in the black neighborhood, right? But my position, right, is more like, when you buy into the system here, right? When you buy into the psychology here of the system, right? You have expectations, and you have expectations, and you think that everyone else aspires to those expectations, because this is the propaganda that's being not just given to us, but it's being pumped
to everybody,
with like water hoses everywhere. You understand? So when you buy into that, right, it can become a rude awakening. Now, LeBron James, he had a rude awakening, right? Because he thought he was a pro basketball. You know what I'm saying? You tend to think you get away from shit. You know what I mean, Nova? You tend to think you get away from shit, and what happens is, like I point out to people all the time, right? They call Barack nigga.
Oh, every day and Sunday.
You understand? They call Barack nigga. They call the crackhead laying in the street the same nigga. They not calling the crackhead a different nigga. That's the same nigga. So once you lock into that acceptance, then you always gonna be open for that rejection. See, for me, I'm talking to black people. I'm talking to our people. I'm talking to the descendants of people who got caught up in some shit here in English colonies. Now, I understand there's black people here that weren't caught up in the shit that we got caught up in these English colonies. And I don't be talking to them. When I am talking to them, I address them. But who needs help here is our people. Who's not receiving help here is our people. Every other people have mechanisms in place whereby which they ass can come to some type of understanding and move in a different direction. Our people don't have that, because our people are still being deliberately attacked by the enemy. Whenever they see us looking like we about to get strong, they attack because they feel threatened by that. Because no matter what else happens, they still think we want payback. And
not only us, the whole world.
Well, some of us want payback. Yeah. I would. It wouldn't be realismism if I didn't tell you that I want payback. You understand? If I didn't tell you that I want to chop the head off some crackers. Not all white people, just the crackers. You understand? Yeah. Just the racist motherfuckers, the Ku Klux Klan, I want to chop their heads off. And this is not like shit talk with me. You notice I don't say this all the time.
What I'm saying is that's real talk. I mean, we human beings. We got feelings.
Listen.
Right, we got emotions.
Especially when they little asshole relatives are subject to say some bullshit about black people anywhere. That, in my opinion, we should have a strike force of willing warriors that understand that this is some real ninja shit and you might not come back from the mission. You understand? And deal with shit, because we cannot seriously look to our enemy for protection. We cannot look to our enemy for solutions. We can only look to our enemy for systems whereby which he can enrich himself or his partners that may have some trickling benefit to some of us as collaborators. You understand? Like these social welfare systems. Those are systems that exploit us because of our numbers. They use our poor people to make money. Charities do the same thing.
Just like the hospital uses us to make money, like this white scientist was saying, they're getting black people sick so they can make money off of it.
Once I realized that charities don't produce anything, then my next thought was, well, damn, how they pay employees? They pay employees with donations. So if if people are giving you enough money to have an organization with a bureaucracy as large as the Salvation Army, and you don't produce anything, your funding comes from donations. And you have chapters in every city, employees in every city. How much money you bringing in?
They bringing in multi-millions of dollars. Pause.